We have already mentioned there is not a single storyline about the future, since many uncertainties are affecting our energy future. A first shock came on stage with the COVID-19 pandemic. The new emergency pushed governments to divert investment to the healthcare system and to the economic recovery. The new normal brought new needs. During the lockdown, the energy sector played a vital role in supporting healthcare, remote working, distance learning, but also, together with the ICT infrastructure, our social life. As a consequence of the lockdown, the energy sector has experienced the highest fall ever in absolute terms, higher than in the Second World War, the Great Depression, the Spanish flu, and more recently, the financial crisis of 2008. To give some numbers, the global energy demand dropped by 5%, the energy-related CO2 emission by 7%, the energy investment by 18%. During the recovery of the second semester of 2021, the situation was again hampered by the unfolding energy crisis. For instance, among the many reasons of the 2021 energy crisis in Europe, we can mention a strong increase in energy demand generated by the recovery after COVID-19 acute phase, while the production site, mostly shut down in 2020, could not recover quickly enough. A harsh winter and spring in 2020-2021 in Europe were followed by severe heat waves, especially in Asia, resulting in an increased demand for gas. This situation created a further competition between Europe and Asia for energy supplies, since gas prices in Europe were and are increasingly linked to those in Asia due to the expanding LNG market. Low wind speeds in summer limited the production of wind electricity in Northern Europe, in Latin America and China. As a result of lower electricity generation from renewable sources, more natural gas and coal had to be used, increasing market competition. Moreover, early in 2022, the conflict in Ukraine led to immediate and significant disruptions. Growing food and energy insecurity add to the current cost of living crisis, hampering the socioeconomic problems which are even more pressing in the developing regions. Is a perfect storm coming at the confluence of energy and food security? This is a big question. Indeed, from the energy side, the energy transition is under threat, since high energy prices and their scarce availability push governments to use available fossil fuels options like coal and oil. At the same time, the risk is high to create new economic and geopolitical dependencies from new gas suppliers in Africa or in the Middle East. As also noted by the EU Commission, a quick shift to renewables may lead to increased dependence from China. From the food side, with Russia being the first world exporter of wheat and Ukraine the fifth, the net importers of crops will suffer the most from the crisis. The transportation costs worldwide will increase, negatively affecting global supply chains. Our future is less certain than ever, but despite the different scenarios and criticism we may face, some tendencies seem to be confirmed. Coal use is declining consistently in the US, Europe, Japan, and China. Still, some margin of increase in India and Southeast Asia are available. Renewables are growing in all the regions, with Europe, US, and China leading the effort. Gas and nuclear's future will still depend on the political commitment of different regions. Some of them, indeed, in order to activate a more equitable and smooth transition, are adjusting with proper criteria their taxonomy for clean fuels. All these uncertainties may lead to a number of criticisms for global energy security. The debate can be long, and articulated, but we are going to mention just 3 of them, one in each of the relevant dimensions for sustainable development. The first risk is on the economic side. Renewable increase in the electricity sector broadens the need for flexibility options to accommodate non-dispatchable sources in the national or regional grids. Investments are needed, but they are diverted to other sectors due to the multifaceted crisis we are experiencing. Private players are still struggling with the revenues reduction, but huge investments in the upscale of research and development of low readiness level technologies and the activation of new regulatory frameworks are strongly needed. Therefore, governmental support with direct investment or proper regulation is still the essential leverage for activating a just energy transition to avoid potential lock-in of technology, further delay, service failure, or increase in energy prices. The second risk is on the environmental dimension. Avoiding new emissions is not enough if nothing is done about existing and prospect infrastructure that may be built in case of urgency. Energy and climate policy needs to be driven by a sound accounting perspective, possibly set up by adopting a technology-neutral approach which valorizes the contribution of each technology to planet preservation, society prosperity, and people's life. An evidence-based policy-making approach, informing the policymakers with scientifically proven and transparent data. As evident in the picture, to curb the CO2 emission level, we need renewable and efficiency, but also fuel switching, nuclear, and carbon capture, whose contribution may be clear only when analyzed by adopting a life cycle perspective. The third risk pertains with social equity. The worst effects of the energy crisis will be felt among the most vulnerable categories or regions. Energy poverty conditions are more and more common also in developed regions. For instance, about 10% of the European population is struggling with energy poverty. This condition is also hampered in some countries by the critical economic situation of some vulnerable categories: elderly people with low pension, unemployed people, migrants, and by the shift of investment from structural measures expected in the energy sector, refurbishment of buildings, end-use devices, and appliance efficiency, towards more urgent priorities. In 2020, we witnessed a series of negative effects of the pandemic, and after 6 years of positive progress and reduction in the global number of people without access to electricity, a rebound was experienced. Moreover, the risk of not being able to satisfy a sufficient bundle of electricity services has threatened 30 million people in Africa and roughly 80 million in Asia. The just energy transition requires more egalitarian, fair, and just approaches, taking into consideration and seeking to minimize a broader range of social risks. To support these consistent pathways is one of the goals of energy and integrated modeling.